The acrid smoke clawed at Stephen's lungs like 1,000 tiny knives. But he didn't stop, couldn't stop, as he charged into the inferno that used to be his childhood home. "Mom! Dad! Where are you?" His voice cracked, swallowed by the roar of collapsing beams, the heart-pounding certainty that he'd lose everything in one selfish second of hesitation. In that blaze hotter than hell itself, he realized with a gut-wrenching twist, coming out as gay to his family last week had ignited a fire in their eyes that burned worse than this one ever could. Stephen coughed violently, the black haze thickening around him like a shroud, turning the familiar hallway into a nightmare labyrinth. The house on Elm Street in Elmwood, Ohio, Midwestern heartland, where cornfields stretched like golden promises under endless blue skies, had always been his anchor. Built in 1952 by his grandfather, a World War II vet with calloused hands and quiet pride, it was the kind of place where 4th of July barbecues drew the whole block, and Sunday suppers meant grace said over meatloaf and mashed potatoes. But now, flames danced along the wallpaper his mom had picked out at Walmart, devouring family photos. Little Stephen in his Little League uniform, grinning gap-toothed beside his dad, the man who'd taught him to throw a curveball and fix a carburetor. He stumbled forward, heat blistering his forearms where his flannel shirt had ridden up. The fire alarm's wail was distant now, drowned out by the crackle and pop of splintering wood. Sirens howled outside Elmwood FD en route. Thank God, but they were too late for the ground floor. His parents were upstairs, trapped in the master bedroom after a freak electrical short in the old wiring. Stephen had been across the street at Larry's, stealing a forbidden kiss in the bed of Larry's pickup, when the glow lit up the night like a bad omen. Larry. The name hit him like a punch, sharper than the smoke. Larry Hayes, the rugged firefighter with hazel eyes that crinkled when he laughed, and a body honed by hauling hoses and chopping firewood. They'd met 6 months ago at the county fair, Stephen manning the VFW booth for his dad's old unit, Larry volunteering at the dunk tank, shirtless and smirking as kids pelted him with baseballs. One shared beer under the Ferris wheel lights, and the spark ignited. Late-night drives down back roads, hands intertwined over the gear shift, whispering dreams in the cab of that '98 Ford F-150. Larry got it, the hiding, the fear. He was out to his crew, had been since he was 18. But Elmwood wasn't San Francisco. It was flannel and football, church on Sundays and don't ask, don't tell vibes lingering like cigarette smoke in a dive bar. But Stephen, at 25, fresh out of community college with a certificate in auto mechanics, he was the good son. The one who mowed lawns for extra cash, fixed neighbors' transmissions, and never missed a family dinner. Until last Tuesday, when the words tumbled out over pot roast, "I'm gay, Mom. Dad. I've known since high school." The fork clattered against the plate. His dad's face hardened like cooling steel. This some kind of phase? From that city college. Mom's eyes welled up, not with tears of support, but with the quiet devastation of a woman who'd pinned her hopes on grandkids and white picket fences. No yelling, no disowning, just a chasm wider than the Grand Canyon, cracked open in the span of a heartbeat. Now, as Stephen clawed his way up the stairs, each step groaning under his weight, that chasm yawned wider. The banister seared his palm. He yanked back with a hiss, wrapping his hand in his shirt tail. "I'm coming," he bellowed, voice raw. The landing was a wall of orange fury, flames leaping from the carpet like wildcats. He dropped low, army crawling as his dad had taught him from those old survival manuals, cover your mouth. Stay below the smoke. God. Dad, stoic Tom Riley, 62 and stubborn as a mule, wheezing from 30 years in the steel mill. And Mom, Ellen, with her floral aprons and endless optimism, now reduced to screams muffled by the blaze. A beam crashed down behind him, showering sparks like hellfire confetti. Stephen rolled aside, heart slamming against his ribs. He could taste the betrayal, not just the fire's, but his own. Why hadn't he told them sooner? Why hide Larry like a dirty secret, sneaking around like teenagers? Because love in Elmwood came with asterisks. If you're straight, if you're settled, if you fit the mold. Being gay, that was the real arsonist, torching bridges before the match even struck. He burst into the bedroom doorway, the heat a physical blow. There, huddled by the window, sheets twisted around their legs, his parents. Dad was shielding Mom, his broad back a barrier against the encroaching glow. Stephen, get out. Son, it's too late. Tom's voice boomed, authoritative even now, the mill worker's grit unbroken. No! Stephen lunged, grabbing Dad's arm. The fabric of Tom's pajamas smoked on contact. Together they hauled Ellen up, her frail frame trembling, coughs racking her chest. She was 60, osteoporosis gnawing at her bones, but her grip on Stephen's neck was iron. My boy. You came back. Always, he gasped, half dragging, half carrying them toward the hall. The window secondary escape. Dad smashed it with a brass lamp, glass shattering into the night like brittle stars. Cool air rushed in, a merciful gasp, but the updraft fed the beast, flames whooshing higher. Stephen hoisted Mom onto the sill first, her nightgown fluttering like a flag of surrender. Jump! Mom! Fire department's below. She hesitated, eyes locking on his, the unspoken weight of the week crashing down. I love you, Stephen. No matter what. Then she let go, tumbling into the arms of waiting firefighters, their nets blooming like dark parachutes. Dad next, bullish, reluctant. Go with her. Tom, Stephen urged, but the old man shoved him aside. Not without you. A gust of smoke blinded them. Stephen felt the floor buckle. They leaped together, wind whipping, gravity a cruel joke. He hit the net hard, bones jarring, rolling out to grass singed black. Paramedics swarmed, oxygen masks, vitals checks. Mom's hand found his through the chaos, squeezing. Dad clapped his shoulder, gruff nod speaking volumes, we talk later. Family first. But as the adrenaline ebbed, leaving him shivering in a mylar blanket, Stephen's gaze drifted across the street. Larry's truck idled at the curb, hazard lights flashing. Larry himself, helmet under arm, turnout gear half on, stared from the engine bay, face a mask of worry and something sharper. Accusation? Where were you? The kiss from an hour ago soured in Stephen's memory. In that moment, amid the dying embers of his home, Stephen wondered if the flames had spared the one thing that could truly consume him, his heart. The next morning dawned gray and ashen, Elmwood's volunteer fire chief declaring the structure a total loss. Arson. No, faulty wiring in the attic, exacerbated by a forgotten space heater. Insurance would cover the rebuild. Maybe, but the Riles were displaced. Bunking at Aunt Rita's double-wide on the edge of town, a sagging rancher smelling of mothballs and menthol cigarettes. Stephen drove them there in his beat-up Civic. the silence thick as the fog rolling off the Scioto River. Mom dozed in the passenger seat, bandaged hand limp in her lap. Dad rode shotgun, up front, always, staring out at the skeletal remains of their life. "You saved us, kid," he finally grunted, voice like gravel. "Reckless as hell, but thanks." Stephen gripped the wheel tighter. "Couldn't let it end like that. A beat. Dad. About what I said." At dinner, Tom shifted, the leather seat creaking. "Water under the bridge. Stephen. Fires happen. We rebuild." But his eyes, steel blue, unyielding, flicked away. "Not forgiveness. Not yet. Just survival mode." Aunt Rita's was chaos. Cousins underfoot, TV blaring infomercials, the air heavy with fried bologna. Ellen perked up at the sight of her sister's quilted afghan, but Stephen felt the walls closing in. He slipped out to the porch, lighting a Marlboro, bad habit picked up in college. One Larry hated. The drag burned his throat, a poor substitute for the ache in his chest. Larry's text buzzed. "You okay? Saw the news. Elmwood FD all hands." No mention of their night. Stephen typed back. "Yeah. House gone. Family safe. Delete. Need you. Send." The reply was instant. On shift till 6. Meet at the quarry? The quarry, abandoned gravel pit on County Road 12, where they'd first made love under a harvest moon. Truck bed lined with blankets. Stars wheeling overhead like God's own fireworks. Stephen's pulse quickened. Sanctuary. But as he pocketed his phone, a pickup rumbled up Rita's drive. Blue Ford. Larry's. Wait. No, his buddy Jake from the mill. Dad's fishing partner. Jake hopped out. Bear hug for Tom. "Heard about the blaze, buddy. Need a hand with anything?" Inside, beers cracked open. War stories exchanged. Stephen lingered in the doorway, outsider in his own skin. Jake's glance lingered too long. Curious. Probing. "You the hero? Huh? Runnin' in like some damn action flick." Laughter rippled, but Jake's eyes narrowed. "Heard you were across the street. At Hayes' place." The room stilled. Mom's fork paused midair. Dad's jaw set. Stephen's stomach dropped. "Yeah. Helping with yard work." Jake snorted, oblivious or not. "Yard work at midnight? Larry's a lucky guy." The implication hung, toxic as exhaust. Tom stood abruptly. "Enough." Stephen. Porch. Now. Outside. The autumn chill bit deep. Dad lit his own smoke, rare for him. "What's this about Hayes? You too?" Stephen's throat closed. "Dad. Save it. I saw how he looked at you last night. Like you hung the moon." Tom's exhale fogged the air. "If that's your life, fine. But don't drag us into it. We're Ryless. We keep our shit private." The words landed like punches. Private. Code for buried. Stephen nodded, numb. Understood. But as Dad retreated inside, Stephen's phone vibrated again. Larry Corey. "Don't be late." He drove the back roads, windows down, wind whipping tears he wouldn't admit to. The quarry loomed, a jagged scar in the earth, water at the bottom ink black and still. Larry's truck was there, headlights off, a silhouette against the fading light. Stephen parked, killed the engine. Footsteps crunched gravel. Then Larry was there, pulling him into a crush of arms and leather jacket. "Jesus, Stephen. You scared the hell out of me." Larry's voice muffled against his neck, stubble rough on skin. He smelled of smoke and aftershave, the combo that always undid Stephen. They sank to the tailgate, beers cracked from the cooler. Larry's hand found his thigh, thumb tracing circles. "Tell me." So he did the fire, the rescue, the fractured words at dinner. Larry listened, quiet intensity in those hazel eyes. "You're a goddamn hero. And they're blind if they can't see it." Stephen leaned in, capturing Larry's mouth, desperate, devouring. Hands roamed, shirts tugged free, the quarry echoing their gasps. Skin on skin, urgent and alive, a rebellion against the ashes. In Larry's arms, the world narrowed, no fires, no judgments. Just this love, raw and unapologetic. But as they lay tangled in the bed, Larry's breath steady against his chest, Stephen whispered, "What if it's not enough?" Larry stirred, kissing his collarbone. "It has to be. For us." Little did Stephen know, the real blaze was just kindling. Weeks blurred into a fragile normalcy, the Riley rebuild grinding along like a rusted engine. Insurance checks trickled in. Contractors hammered away at the skeleton of 147 Elm. But the heart of the house, the laughter, the belonging remained charred. Stephen threw himself into work at the garage, wrenching on carburetors till his knuckles bled, avoiding home where silences stretched like taffy. Mom tried, baked his favorite apple pie, left it cooling on Rita's counter with a note. "Proud of you, always." Dad? Grunts and nods. The occasional pass the salt at communal dinners. Progress. In Elmwood terms. Larry became his oxygen. Stolen hours. Breakfast at the diner on Route 23, where Flo the waitress winked knowingly over hash browns. Sunset walks along the river trail, fingers brushing till they laced tight. Larry's shift schedule was brutal, 24 on, 48 off, but he made time. Always. "You're worth the overtime," he'd murmur, nuzzling Stephen's ear in the cab of the truck, radio crooning Johnny Cash. One crisp October Saturday, Larry pitched the idea over coffee at the quarry, now their spot, sacred as a chapel. Road trip. Get outta this podunk for a weekend. Cincinnati's got that queer film fest, indie docs, craft beers, no side-eye from the locals. Stephen's gut twisted, thrill warring with terror. My folks. The rebuild's ramping up. Dad needs help with demo. Larry's jaw tightened, that stubborn line Stephen both loved and feared. Demo can wait. You need air, babe. We both do. His hand covered Stephen's, warm and sure. Or are you still playing house with the ghost of straight Stephen? The jab stung, laced with truth. Stephen pulled away, staring at the water below, dark mirror reflecting a man adrift. It's not that simple. They're family. And I'm what? Your side hustle. Larry stood, pacing the gravel. Firefighter temper, quick to flare. I get it, the hero son, saving the day. But you can't live for them forever. Not if it means dying inside. Stephen's chest ached. Larry was right. Damn him. The hiding gnawed like termites. Dodging Jake's barbs at the mill picnic, fabricating poker nights for their dates. Last week, Flo had slipped him a rainbow mug, for the brave ones, and he'd nearly bolted from the diner. Okay, he relented, voice small. Cincy it is. The drive south was electric, windows down. Larry's playlist blasting Springsteen and the Killers. Stephen's hand on his knee. They crossed the Ohio River at dusk. Cincinnati's skyline twinkling like a promise. Bigger world. Brighter lights. The hotel was a boutique spot in Over the Rhine. Exposed brick and fairy lights. The kind of place where desk clerks didn't blink at two guys checking in with matching duffels. That night, the film fest. A packed theater smelling of popcorn and patchouli. Seats sticky under shared thighs. The dock, out in the heartland, hit like a freight train. Farm boys coming out in red states. Parents' tears turning to toasts. Small towns rewriting their scripts. Stephen gripped Larry's hand through the credits. Throat tight. That's us. Someday. Somedays now, Larry whispered, sealing it with a kiss in the shadowed lobby, public, unhurried, the world not ending. They wandered Fountain Square after. Street musicians strumming folk tunes. Food trucks hawking Geta tacos. Larry bought them matching trucker hats. Cincy proud embroidered in rainbow thread, laughing as Stephen jammed his on backward. Looks good. Rebel chic. Dinner at a rooftop bistro. Skyline views. Candlelight flickering off wine glasses. Larry raised a toast. To flames conquered, and the ones worth chasing. Their eyes locked. Heat building slow. Deliberate. Back at the room. It unfolded like a ritual. Clothes shed in the lamplight. Bodies mapping familiar territories with fresh wonder. Larry's mouth on his hip. Stephen's fingers in sweat-damp hair. The city hum a distant lullaby. Afterward, tangled in 600 thread sheets, Larry traced Stephen's scars. Fire blisters faded to pink pucker. These make you unbreakable, Stephen swallowed. You make me believe that. Sunday brunch dragged, mimosas and avocado toast, before the reluctant drive home. Elmwood reasserted itself like a hangover. Cornstalks rustling gold. Billboards for John Deere and Jesus. Stephen's phone buzzed midway. Dad. Demo days on. Where you at? Guilt nod. But Larry's sideways grin steadied him. Tell him you're alive. That's enough. They parted at the quarry. A lingering kiss tasting of goodbye. Next weekend, Larry murmured. Count on it. Stephen watched the taillights fade. Then headed to Rita's, now mostly cleared out. Parents back in a FEMA trailer parked in the driveway scar. Tom was there, sledge in hand, sweat beading under his trucker cap. Thought you bailed. No accusation. Just fact. Road trip. Cleared my head. Stephen grabbed a hammer. Falling into rhythm, smash. Pry. Haul debris. Dust motes danced in sunbeams slanting through rafters. Dad. I met someone. For real. Tom paused, wiping his brow. Hayes. Yeah. Heart in his throat. He's good to me. Makes me better. A long silence, punctuated by nails screeching from wood. Mills got an opening. Mechanic gig. Steady pay. Deflection. Classic Tom. But then, bring him fishing sometime. Sciota's got base runnin'. Stephen's hammer stilled. Not acceptance, a crack in the door. He'd take it. That night, over meatloaf in the trailer, walls thin as paper, TV droning ESPN. Mom bridged the gap. Saw a story on the news. Gays in the military now. Brave folks. Her smile wobbled. Like my boy. Dad grunted agreement around a forkful. Stephen's eyes burned. Not smoke this time, but something softer. But Elmwood's undercurrents ran deep, murky as quarry water. Monday at the garage, Jake cornered him in the bays. Heard you and Larry hit the big city. Get wild, smirk oily, eyes gleaming with bar gossip fodder. None of your business, Stephen shot back, torque wrench clanking. Jake leaned in, breath sour. Your old man's a skin questions. Careful, hero. Some fires you can't put out. The warning slithered under Stephen's skin. By lunch, whispers circulated. Riley's boy, with Hayes, figures, after that college phase. He texted Larry, town talk. Watch your back. Larry, let M. We're solid. Were they? That weekend, Larry's crew hosted a barbecue at the station, beers, brats, bluegrass on the stereo. Stephen tagged along, nerves jangling like loose change. The guys ribbed Larry good-naturedly. Brought your shadow, Hayes, but eyes flicked, assessing. Chief Harlan, a grizzled vet with a mustache like steel wool, clapped Stephen's shoulder. Heard about the house fire. Balls of steel, kid. Welcome to the circus. Relief flooded, warm as the grill smoke. They played cornhole under string lights, Larry's arm slung casual around Stephen's waist when he thought no one watched. But Jake was there off-duty, nursing a bud, gaze predatory. Fancy seeing you here, Riley. Jake. Stephen's voice even, but fists clenched. Tom materialized beside him. Uninvited, but there. Hayes invitin' you, son. To Jake. Grab a plate, buddy. Food's hot. The mill boys mingled uneasy with firefighters, but Dad's presence anchored. As dusk fell, Tom pulled Larry aside by the coolers. Stephen watched from afar, pulse thundering. Words exchanged, low, intense. Larry nodded, clapped Tom's back. Then, impossible, a shared laugh. Later, driving home, Dad lit a rare smoke. Hayes seems solid. Treats you right. Yeah, Dad. He does. Good. Silence. Companionable. Life's too short for bullshit fires. Stephen's chest cracked open. The dam broke. Not with sobs, but a quiet, love you, Dad. Same. Kid. November crept in, leaves carpeting elm like funeral shrouds. The rebuild progressed. Walls up, roof rafters stark against winter skies. Stephen and Larry stole moments, a quick lunch at the diner. Flo's mug now a fixture. Thanksgiving at the Hayes farm. Larry's mom hugging Stephen like a long-lost son. Her pecan pie sweeter than absolution. But betrayal brews in the shadows. Jake, nursing grudges from high school gridiron slights. Stephen snagging the starting QB spot. Larry choosing college over the team stoked the embers. Late one shift, he cornered a rookie at the mill bar. Riley's queer as a $3 bill. Runnin' into fires? Hero complex to hide the fairy dust. Word spread. Venomous. By Friday, it reached Tom via a concerned coworker. He confronted Stephen in the trailer, face thunderous. This true? You and Hayes. Public now. It's not like that. Damn right it's not. Tom's fist slammed the formica. We're giving you space. But parading? In my town. Mom intervened. Tears streaming. Tom. He's our son. Our son who's ruining us. The words detonated. Stephen stormed out, Civic roaring to Larry's. Larry held him through the sobs, but his own fire kindled. This ends now. We tell them, together. Stephen nodded, broken but resolute. The storm was coming. The confrontation brewed like a nor'easter, winds howling off Lake Erie. Elmwood hunkered under gray November skies. Stephen woke in Larry's bed, farmhouse creaks, rooster crowing at dawn, to a text from Mom. Family meeting. Tonight. 7 p.m. Trailer. No pleasantries, just command. Larry stirred beside him, arm heavy across Stephen's waist. You goin'? Have to. Stephen traced the freckles on Larry's shoulder, each a constellation of comfort. End this limbo. Larry propped on an elbow, hair tousled. I serious. I'm comin'. No more hidin'. The words thrilled and terrified. Stephen kissed him fierce. Morning breath be damned, bodies aligning in the rumpled sheets. Quick, urgent, a talisman against the fray. Afterward, coffee in chipped mugs. Larry's mom, Marge, with her flour-dusted apron and no-nonsense warmth, slid eggs onto plates. Heard about the dust-up. Families are like fires, burn hot, but they don't have to take everything. Her acceptance, unearned and unwavering, chipped at Stephen's armor. Thanks, Marge. Call me Mom. She winked. If he keeps you smilin'. The drive to Elm was silent, Larry's hand on Stephen's knee a steady pulse. The FEMA trailer squatted forlorn in the mud-churned lot, 147's frame looming skeletal behind. Lights glowed yellow through plastic-shrouded windows. Tom's truck idled in the drive, exhaust puffing like dragon breath. Inside, the air was thick, casseroles cooling on the hot plate, Aunt Rita perched on the dinette bench, cousins banished to the truck. Mom fussed with napkins, eyes red-rimmed. Dad stood by the sink, arms crossed, face a storm cloud. Sit. Larry extended a hand, firm grip. No flinch. Mr. Riley. Appreciate the invite. Tom eyed it like a snake, then shook. Haze. They crammed around the tiny table, knees bumping, tension crackling. Mom served sloppy joes, comfort food turned weapon. Small talk died fast. Weather, football scores. Then Tom leaned forward, elbows thudding wood. Heard things. From the mill. About you too. Stephen's fork scraped ceramic. Dad. Let him finish. Larry's voice calm. Firefighter steady. Tom's gaze bored in. Public displays. At the station bash. Folks talkin'. Making it our business. It's our lives, Stephen countered. Heat rising. Not a scandal. Scandal. Tom's laugh barked. Bitter. In Elmwood? You're the golden boy fire hero. Mill air. Now this phase. It's dragging us through mud. Larry's chair scraped back. Phase? Tom, I've loved your son since summer. He's no phase. He's the best damn thing in my life. Love. Dad spat the word like gristle. Pretty word for foolin' around. Mom's hand trembled on her glass. Tom. Please. They're good boys. Good, Rita chimed. Hesitant ally. Larry's crew respects him. Stephen's heart's pure gold. Tom whirled on her. Stay out. Rita, this is Riley blood. Back to Stephen. You want to play house with him? Fine. But not here. Not flauntin'. The dam burst. Flaunting? Dad? I ran into a goddamn inferno for you. Risked everything because you're family. Stephen's voice cracked. Tears hot. And this us. That's worse than flames to you? Silence crashed, heavier than falling beams. Larry's hand found his under the table anchor. Tom's face crumpled. Not anger, but something rawer, fear. We lost the house, son. Can't lose you too. Town eats its own. The admission hung, vulnerable. Mom reached across, palm cupping Stephen's cheek. We love you. Scared, but love. Larry cleared his throat. Permission to court your son proper. Sir? Dinners, fishing trips. No hidin'. Tom searched Larry's eyes long, measuring. Then, a nod, grudging. Boots on the ground. Prove it. Not absolution, but a truce. Hugs exchanged. Awkward, bone-crushing. Outside, under sodium lamps, Larry pulled Stephen close. We did it. Yeah. But as they drove away, Stephen's phone lit. Jake. Anonymous tip line screenshot. Mill petition. Fire haze for conduct unbecoming. Signatures mounting. Betrayals blade. Cold and swift. The petition snowballed. A digital witch hunt masked as concern. By morning, it hit 200 names. Mill workers, church ladies, even old little league dads. Protect our families. No room for agenda in uniform. Jake's fingerprints invisible, but Stephen smelled the rot. He stormed the mill at lunch, catching Jake by the time clock. You son of a bitch, fists balled, vision tunneling. Jake smirked, lunch pail swinging. Truth hurts. Riley. Your boy's a distraction. Crews divided. Liar. Stephen lunged. Jake sidestepped, shoving him into lockers. Alarms blared, supervisor hauling them apart. Cool it. Both. Tom arrived. Face ashen. What the hell? Family business, Jake sneered. Tell your old man. Banishment. Dad's eyes. Disappointment. Not fury. Go home, Stephen. We'll handle. But handling meant capitulation. That night, Tom confronted Larry at the station. Unofficial. In the lot under flickering fluorescence. Stephen tailed, hiding in shadows, heart pounding. You're out, Tom said flat. Resign. Or the mill blacklists you. No firefighting gigs in 3 counties. Larry's stance shifted, defiant. Blackmail? That's your play. Protection. Tom's voice broke. For him. For us. I love him, Tom. That don't stop for petitions. Then leave Elmwood. Take him. Start fresh. The offer, exile wrapped in care. Larry glanced toward the shadows, spotting Stephen's outline. Your call, son. Stephen stepped forward, throat ash dry. No. We fight. Tom's shoulders sagged. Then you're on your own. The rift widened. A fault line. Larry refused to resign. The chief, loyal but pressured, suspended him pending review. Town meetings erupted. Council chambers packed. Voices clashing. Tolerance or tradition. Protests outside the station. Signs reading fire the agenda, countered by rainbows scrawled on poster board by out-of-towners. Stephen became pariah. Garage customers thinning. Whispers trailing like smoke. Mom fielded calls, supportive kin, venomous busybodies. Hang in, baby, she'd say, pressing leftovers into his hands. Larry's fire dimmed. Not anger, but weariness. Nights at the farmhouse, he'd stare at the ceiling, Stephen curled against him. Maybe your dad's right. Fresh start. No, Stephen fierce. This is home, but home cracked further. Thanksgiving loomed, traditional at Rita's, but Tom canceled. Too much noise. Instead, a quiet 4 at the trailer. Turkey from the deli. TV muted. Dad carved silent. Mom's eyes pleading. We're proud, Stephen. Even now, the words bomb, but insufficient. As pie cooled, Tom pulled him aside. Jake's laid in the charge. Old grudge, your mom picked my side in high school. Petty bastard. Then fight him. Tom shook his head. Mill's my life. Can't burn it down. Cowardice or caution? Stephen left hollow, driving to Larry's through sleet-lashed roads. The farmhouse glowed welcoming, Marge's stew simmering. But Larry was absent, out with the crew, unsuspended but watched. Stephen waited, stew untouched, until headlights cut the dark. Larry stumbled in, reeking of whiskey and regret. Bar run. Cleared my head. With who? Instinct. Sour. Guys. Jake was there. Mouthing off. Larry's eyes evaded. Nothing. But something. Stephen's gut twisted. Tell me. Aside. He offered a deal. Drop the petition if I back off. You. Rage ignited. And I told him to fuck off. Larry cupped Stephen's face, thumb brushing lip. But he knows about Cincy. The hotel. Snuck a PI or some shit. Privacy violated, love weaponized. Stephen recoiled. This town's poison. Larry pulled him close. Then we purge it. Their lovemaking that night was battle, fierce, reclaiming. Nails raking backs, mouths bruising, a fuck you to the fray. Dawn found them spent, but resolve hardened. Saturday town hall showdown. Chambers overflowed. Standing room only, air electric with murmurs. Council table, Mayor Wilkins, sweating, Chief Harlan, stone-faced, Jake, front row, smug in flannel. Public comments opened. Allies first, Marge Hayes, voice quaking but firm. My boy's a hero too, saved 3 in the 22 flood. Love don't make him less. Then foes, Baptist pastor, Bible thumping. Abomination in our ranks? No, sir. Stephen's turn. He mounted the podium, knees wood, but voice steady. I ran into flames for my family. Risked it all because love demands it. Larry's that for me, for this town. He's pulled us from wrecks, fought blazes bigger than grudges. Don't let one snake poison the well. Eyes locked on Jake, defiant. Applause rippled, tentative then thunderous. Larry followed, turnout gear on, helmet under arm. I'm gay. Proud. And I'll die for this badge, this community. Petition or not. Chief Harlan rose. Suspension lifted. Hayes stays. Cheers erupted. Jake slunk out, face puce. But as confetti improvised, torn programs, rained, Stephen caught Dad in the back, nodding approval. A bridge mended, tentative. Outside, snow flurried, first of the season, fat flakes melting on lashes. Larry scooped Stephen up, binning. We won, but victory's aftertaste, bittersweet. Jake's shadow lingered, a spark in dry tinder. December draped elmwood in white, fields blanketed. River iced at edges. The rebuild at 147, a gingerbread frame strung with lights. Holiday cheer clashed with undercurrents. Petition ashes smoldering in group chats. Jake's demotion to night shift a Pyrrhic win. Stephen and Larry navigated the minefield. Dates at the diner now open. Hands atop for Micah. Drives to Columbus for movies. No alibis needed. Love deepened. Roots burrowing. Larry teaching Stephen to ice fish. Holes augured in the frozen Scioto. Lines jerking with perch. Stephen tuning Larry's truck. Oil-slicked fingers leaving prints like claims. Christmas Eve dawned brittle cold. Tom's olive branch. Dinner at the new place. Drywall's up. Ain't fancy. But home. Stephen's heart stuttered progress. He spent the day wrapping gifts. A leather-bound fishing log for Dad. Scented candles for Mom. A custom knife sheath for Larry, L&H forever tooled in. Larry's farm buzzed festive. Marge's tree a monstrosity of tinsel and heirloom ornaments. Cider mulled on the stove. Bring him over after, she urged, pressing fruitcake into Stephen's hands. Family's what you make it. The trailer-to-be glowed from a space heater. Plastic sheeting rustling like ghosts. Inside, plywood floors, sleeping bags unrolled by a makeshift hearth, electric logs flickering orange. Mom bustled with ham and fixings, Rita commandeering the kitchenette. Dad, in the garage bay, temporary walls framing Tom's workbench, tinkering with a model plane, the P-51 Mustang from his dad's war stories. Stephen arrived solo, Larry on shift till 10. Merry Christmas, he ventured, hugging Mom stiff. Dad grunted from the bench, but his eyes softened. Gifts under the tree? Trailers got a Charlie Brown special. Stephen forced a grin. Dinner unfolded tentative. Grace said, ham carved. Stories swapped. Rita's cat fiasco. Mom's Jell-O salad triumph. Wine loosened tongues. Dad even cracked a joke about the fire chief's elf hat. Then, post-pie, the ritual, presents passed hand to hand. Mom's for Stephen. A photo album, painstaking baby pics to now, captions in her loopy script. My hero. Tears pricked, he hugged her fierce. Dad's turn. A toolbox. Vintage. His own from the mill apprenticeship. Tools for the trade. Pass it on. Stephen's voice thick. Thanks, Dad. Last. From both parents. A keychain house key. Etched with 147 Elm forever. When it's done, Mom whispered. Your room's waitin'. The gesture landed home. Reclaimed. But as hugs lingered, Tom's whisper, Hayes off tonight? Yeah. Closing the year strong. Good man. Pride. Unspoken. Larry arrived at 10 sharp. Snow-dusted. Bearing pies from the station bake-off. The crew had adopted him. Ribbons pinned to his jacket. Tales of a kitten rescue swapped. Tom shook his hand. Lingering. Join us next year. Full spread. Larry's grin lit the dim. Wouldn't miss it. Midnight mass followed St. Mary's. Pews packed with candlelight and carols. Stephen and Larry sat with the Relentless, knees touching, the priest's homily on peace on earth ringing true. Outside, snow fell thick, muffling the world. They walked home arm in arm, blizzard bold, Larry's breath fogging Stephen's ear. Best gift? This. New Year's brought revelry. Station party. Bonfire roaring in the lot. Fireworks legal in Ohio bursting overhead. Jake absent. Transferred to Dayton. Grudging. Stephen toasted with the crew. To flames faced, and loves that endure. But January thawed the idol. Whispers resurfaced. Anonymous emails to the chief. Hayes distracted. Risks lives. Larry's shifts soured. Close calls. A warehouse blaze where he hesitated. Flashover singeing his gear. It's nothing, he insisted. But nightmares woke him sweating. Stephen soothing with murmurs and touches. Stephen pushed. Talk to Harlan. Can't. Looks weak. Stubborn fire. Consuming from within. February's chill deepened the rift. A call from Cincy, Larry's cousin. Out and proud. Offering mechanic gigs at a queer-owned shop. Escape hatch. Larry mused over beers at the quarry. Ice rhyming the edges. You in. Stephen's heart seized. Elmwood's home. Is it? Larry's eyes searched. Weary. Or chains. The argument simmered low. Accusations flying. You're quitting on us. You're clinging to ghosts. They made up rough. Against the truck hood. Cold metal biting skin. Passion a poultice. But doubt seeded. March gale winds howled. Mirroring the storm. Jake returned. Unbanished. Slinking back with a smirk and union backing. At the mill picnic annual. Obligatory, he cornered Tom. Still backin' the ferry fireman? Tom's fist clenched. Watch your mouth. Jake laughed. Or what? Your boy's next scandal. The tale reached Stephen via Rita. Your dad's fit to burst. He confronted Jake at the VFW bar. Neon buzzing. Pool balls cracking. Leave us be. Or, Jake loomed. Breath beery. You're the weakness. Riley. Dragon Hayes down. Fists flew. Stephen's haymaker connecting. Jake's counter splitting lip. Bouncers hauled them out. Blood on snow. Tom's truck screeching up. Idiot. Dad roared. Ice to Stephen's jaw. Giving him ammo. He started. Doesn't matter. Tom's eyes blazed. This ends. Tell Hayes, break it off. Or I will. Ultimatum. Paternal blade. Stephen reeled to Larry's. Bursting in mid-shift change. We gotta go. Now. Larry. Gear half off. Froze. What, Dad? Jake. It's too much. Sobs choked. Cincy. Please. Larry's arms enveloped. Strong. Sheltering. Okay. Babe. We run. But running ignited the climax. April Fools, ironic, dawned with sirens. Hayes farm ablaze. Arson. Deliberate hayloft torched. Cows lowing panic. Larry charged in. Stephen at his heels. Pulling Marge from the kitchen as beams fell. Firefighters swarmed, irony bitter, their own kin. Chief Harlan's voice over the crackle. Perp ID'd. Jake Miller. Gas can. Prince. Betrayal crystallized. Jake. Hauled in cuffs. Spat at Larry. You took everything spotlight. My girl in high school. Now the town. Delusions fire. Self-fed. The arrest broke Elmwood open. Headlines in the Gazette. Local heroes stalker unmasked. Town hall redux, apologies cascading. Harlan reinstating Larry with honors. Tom testified. Jake's rot ran deep. My boy's love? Purest flame. Court came swift, arson. Hate crime enhancer. Jake sentenced. 10 years. Van Wert pen. But the real trial? Hearts. Larry's burns, minor. 2nd degree on forearms, scars like Stephen's own. In the hospital. Monitors beeping. Tom visited solo. I pushed too hard. Blame mine. Larry. Bandaged, knotted. Family's messy. But worth it. May bloomed verdant. 147 complete. Red door. Fresh paint. Housewarming. Block party. Grills smoking. Larry's crew mingling with millfolk. Stephen and Larry danced slow under string lights. Public. Unashamed Tom watching. A faint smile cracking. But the arc bent toward shadow. Larry's nightmares worsened. Flashbacks to the farm blaze. Smoke triggering coughs that lingered. PTSD, the doc said. Counseling. Larry resisted. I'm fine. You're not. Stephen firm. Post-night terror. Sheets twisted. For us. Reluctant sessions. VA clinic in Columbus. Larry peeling layers, abusive dad. Closet years. The badge as armor. Stephen attended once. Holding his hand through tears. Love's the real hero. Summer solstice. Quarry picnic. Just them. Blankets. Bruise. Larry's guitar strumming Dylan. Marry me? He asked. Ring glinting, simple band. Engraved into the flames. Stephen's yes dissolved in kisses. Future bright. Yet autumn whispered warning. Larry's health faltered. Coughs persistent. Doc probing deeper. Tests. Shadow on the lung. Biopsy pending. Could be nothing, but fear's ember glowed. Stephen clung. Whatever it is, we face it. October harvest moon. Diagnosis. Mesothelioma, rare. Aggressive. From old station gear. Asbestos legacy. Months. Maybe. Larry's laugh hollow. Irony. Firefighter felled by dust. Tom rallied. Beats. Son. Experimental trial in Pittsburgh. Marge baked pies. Crew rotations at the farm. Stephen quit the garage. Caregiving full-time, meds. Meals. Midnight vigils. Love's labor. Intimate. Bathing Larry's fading frame. Stories swapped in the dark. November 16th, anniversary of the Elm Fire. Larry rallied for a walk. Quarry edge. Leaves crimson carpet. No regrets. None. Stephen's voice steady. You made me brave. Larry leaned on him. Breath labored. Tell the folks. Thanks. That night, he slipped away. Peaceful. In sleep. Stephen's hand in his. The world grayed without Larry. Elmwood's colors leached to ash. Funeral packed the Methodist hall. Firefighters in dress blues. Mill in Carhartt. Townies shoulder to shoulder. Chief Harlan eulogized. Larry Hayes ran into flames for strangers. For family. For love. Tom's turn. Voice gravel. Eyes wet. He was the son I needed. Taught me. Acceptance ain't weakness. It's fireproof. Stephen spoke last. Podium trembling under palms. Larry saw me, really saw when I was half hidden in smoke. He pulled me out, every day. Into light. No dry eyes. Applause a thunder of healing. Aftermath, the farm. Marge's now. A revolving door of casseroles and cards. Stephen stayed on. Helping with chores, milking cows at dawn. Their warm flanks a tether to routine. Tom's visits lengthened. Fishing trips. Just them. Lines cast silent into the Scioto. Heard from the VA. Benefits sorted. You're set. Not about money. Dad. I know. Tom's nod profound. Proud. Son. Of you both. Mom's garden bloomed defiant. Annuals in Larry's honor. Rainbow petunias edging the porch. Rita hosted Sundays. Bridge club morphing to memory lane. Larry's dunk tank antics. His guitar at bonfires. Laughter returned. Tentative. A phoenix feather. Winter gripped. But Stephen stirred. Cincy's offer lingered. He took it. Mechanic at the queer shop. Apartment overlooking the river. Weekends home. 147's kitchen now hub. Dad's meatloaf a staple. Bring a date sometime, Tom teased. Half serious. Spring, 1-year marker. Stephen scattered Larry's ashes at the quarry. Winds off the water carrying him home. Miss you, he whispered. Ring heavy on chain. A sign fluttered from the truck. Cincy Queer Fest. Volunteer? He went. The dock out in the Heartland 2 screening. Crowd electric. Afterward, beers at a dive. Stories swapped with filmmakers. A guy Evan, lanky artist with paint-fleck jeans, bought the next round. Saw your tribute online. Larry sounded legendary. He was. Conversation flowed, art, autos, the ache of loss. No sparks, but embers possibility. Summer solstice. Elmwood Fair. Echoes of meeting Larry. Stephen manned the VFW booth again. Badges polished. Kids dunked the tank, now a rookie. Blushing. Laughter bubbled. Free. Tom joined. Grilling burgers. Evan. Artist. Friend. Stephen grinned. Slow burn. Dad clapped his back. That's my boy. Autumn harvest. Wedding bells, not his, but Marge's nephew. A ceremony at the farm. Stephen stood best man. Vows echoing Larry's. Into the flames. Together. November 16th. 2026. Dawn crisp. Frost-laced. Stephen woke in Cincy. Evan's arm loose across sheets. Coffee brewed. City humming. Drive to Elmwood. 147 aglow. Family brunch waiting. Mom's hug. Dad's nod. Rita's pie. At the quarry. He paused, water still. Sky vast. Larry's voice. Imagined. Live. Babe. Burn bright. Stephen smiled. Keychain glinting, 147 Elm forever. Family. Love fires tamed. Not extinguished. The world waited. Warmer for the scars. In Elmwood. Roots ran deep. In Cincy. Wings unfurled. Stephen straddled both, gay, proud, unbreakable. The flames had forged him. Hero not in rushing in, but rising from. And in the quiet moments, Larry's hazel eyes crinkled in memory. Love's eternal blaze, no worse than any fire, but brighter than all.